Hello, party people. How are you guys feeling today? Welcome to another live inside of our active and attractive community. Ladies, I am so excited to talk to you today about another layer of the deep dive that we are doing around you, your leadership, and your ability to hold and maintain yourself in a way that is in integrity to who it is that you're wanting to be. So ladies, I'm excited to dive in on this conversation. As you guys know, if you haven't been here before, I want to welcome you into our community. Welcome to Alive. We've got so many going on here. Christina's here. What's up, Christina? We've got so many people that have been attending live regularly. And the reason being is that we are being constructive, okay? When I say constructive, I want you to think of yourself with a little tool and a little hammer, just nailing away a build that is greater than what your reality currently carries. What we've been doing, hey girl, what we've been doing is we have been building the foundation to prepare you for 2024 so that you could build the best world for yourself and for in the world around you so that you can create impact as a leader in the way that you desire. Now, I've got a lot of commentary around what it means to be a leader and what it gets to be for you as an experience of being a leader, because I myself have felt called to being a leader for a good majority of my life. Let me know if you relate to this. How many of you guys have identified as a leader growing up? Let me know down in the comments. Christina, I'd love to hear. I feel like you probably knew a long time ago you were meant to lead something in some capacity. Lindy made it. How's it going, Lindy? I never fully knew up front. Good morning to you. Top of the morning. I never knew up front that I was a leader because I was always somebody who leaned back and listened. I always listened and watched before I spoke. And I also observed how other people did things to then make my choices to make a move. But the way that I always knew somewhere inside of me that I was called to being a leader is because if I stayed in my role long enough in partnership with friends and being with, in school and all of these other scenarios that I'd find myself in, I'd always realize down the line that in some form I was in a leadership role. I didn't always actively seek out being a leader, but I found myself in those roles in some form or another, whether it was student council or orchestra or key club or, whatever. I was always in some form of or capacity helping. But then later, if I would stay there long enough, I would find myself with a voice, with an opinion, and someone that other people were looking to. All right. So Christina said, oh, yes, for sure. Okay. So Christina walks around this life knowing what she wants, and she has no fear in sharing with others. So some of you guys might have more of that story where you just knew that you had a strong voice. You had strong clarity. You had strong vision. You had strong awareness of who you are and what it was that you wanted. And you knew how to communicate to other people what that vision was. And whether or not your story is you used to be like that and then life kind of squashed you down, or you've always been like that and you're still carrying that out, I want to say that as your identity, you are a leader. Now, this is very important because if we don't identify as leaders, it's very difficult for us to move forward with a progress mindset. I want us to have a growth and progress mindset as we're thinking, what do I want for myself in 2024? Now, if you are more like me, where you identify more as somebody who operates second in command, or maybe you like to lean back and watch before you make a move, I want to let you know that if you feel responsible for anything in your life, you're still a leader. Ladies, every single one of us in some capacity is a leader. You're a leader of your home. You're a leader of your family. You might find yourself being a leader in your community. You might be a leader of your friend group. You might be a leader of just one relationship. You might be somebody who carries vision and decides that you want this vision to unfold. Whether you are running a business or you are working for someone, no matter what the managerial titles are, you still are a leader. So in order to take ownership of your life and what it is that you want to create for it, I want to dub you right now and say, my friend, you've got it, girl. Let's go build, because the world that you see that you want to build to make it a better place for all of us first starts with you building a world for yourself so that you feel safe, comfortable, loved, supported. You know everything that you have. You love everything that you have. And you are so overjoyed and overflowing with what it is that you are currently experiencing in your reality that you can't hold back but to provide more for other people around you. So world building is, let's build your world first. We're going to build your world first so that you're safe and you're cuddly and you're in love with your gifts, your life, your personality, your style, and it exudes out in a way that other people get to see. It's like, what if, Lindy, what if your world of being exactly who you are was something that other people could see in a way that was like, ooh, I like that. I want to know more from her. Whether you open your mouth and vocalize what you're here for, or you just operate and you function as that version of yourself and people notice, that is you being a leader. And Christina, with all of your just dynamic personality, girl, I get chills every time I'm with you. I get chills because just who you are and how you roll. It's not just from your voice, it's how you do things and how you relate to people. When you operate like that, whether you notice other people are watching or not, you are leading a standard of how we all get to choose to be. So ladies, happy tears. Oh, I got chills and I'm kind of starting to sweat a little bit right here. So that's how I know I'm in the right space. Like, this is what it means to be a leader. And today, what we're going to be talking about is a continuation of what we've said. So if you're new to the conversation, or maybe you haven't caught the last few lives, what we've been really diving into is being prepared and preparing ourselves through clarity of vision and actions for what we need to really make a different life for ourselves in 2024. Now, you might be somebody who already has a pretty happy life now, which is perfect, and you know what it is that you're wanting to build for a business or for a community, or maybe, you've got solutions for things around you out in the world. This is still important conversation to have because we want to talk about how can we get you all primed up and all prepared for 2024. And even if the vision you have for yourself in 2024 has to do with you, what we talked about is the concept of the 4 quadrants. The quadrants being you have a home, a body, relationships, and infrastructure in your business that are required to be built up in a way that supports you and what you need so that you can feel fulfilled to then go out and help the world if that's what you choose. So no matter what it is that you're wanting to create in 2024, we want to talk now about how can we prepare you mentally, emotionally, physically, and action-wise to get you into a place where 2024, you move smooth like butter. And in this dialogue, what we've shifted in the gear of, if you haven't watched the Actionable Clarity Masterclass, this is where we really got clear on what can you start doing, like action-wise. Actions build worlds. What can you start doing today to get yourself into a place of clearing out the way to make the next move easy? Now, what we're focusing on is you, the person you are, and the journey you're choosing to embark on. I take this conversation very seriously, and I can get a little emotional about it because, ladies, I don't think any of us really chose to be here. And if we chose in the beginning, it didn't feel like we had the option to be here. We just kind of woke up here on this beautiful earth one day. There is a journey that each of us are set on, and it can be hard sometimes. Sometimes it can feel exciting, enthusiastic. Christina talks about being a fairy. It's like we get to flutter around and everything gets to be exciting and new. And other parts of our journey might feel a little bit more treacherous, a little bit more discouraging, a little bit more downing. And all of the above is the journey that we are embarking on to embody different skills, different character traits, different things that we need to equip us to encounter more, to create more, to make this world a better place. So when we look at the mountain of embodiment, which is what we talked about last week, the idea is that you are currently trying to embody something, a skill, a characteristic, something that you see that lights you up in someone else. Maybe someone else carries a level of confidence or a level of clarity or a level of boldness or even a level of meekness, a level of intelligence, a level of wisdom, a level of outspokenness or unapologeticness. There's things that other people carry that we're like, I want that. And the truth is you can have it. But we've got to walk up the mountain, hard times and good times, in order for you to capture what it is that it looks like for you. Now, the theme is that when you walk up to the top of the mountain, you shine. Because ladies, each of us walk around with a vibrancy, what I call an aura, that is very easy for other people to witness. And if I were to tell you, when you walk into a room, everywhere you stand, you are valuable, because the value you offer is carried within that aura. This is the part in the movie where you open the door and the whole room turns and they're like, oh, who is that? But the truth is, it's not every single person needs to turn their head. What if one person saw you and they said, you spoke to me. When I saw you, there's something about you that I want to know. I want to learn from. I want to explore. Can you show me? Ladies, even when we don't want to be leaders, on the days we just want to wear hoodies and put the hood over our head and hide and just go to the gas station and get snacks and not talk to anybody, when we're really embodied in the nature of who we are, people still see us. And I think that it's very empowering to remember that if you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, you don't know how you're supposed to show up or what you need to do in this one particular situation, most of what is necessary is captured in your aura. We're going to talk a lot about that today. Okay, Lindy. So I'm hoping this is a sewing project that you're working on. Lindy said, I was always told I was a leader as a kid, and I was put into leadership positions in 4 through 8 groups. I am also a firstborn, so childcare was hoisted upon me. Exactly. So it doesn't matter how leadership shows up to us, except for the fact that typically where we are found to be in leadership roles is a destiny, a calling on our life. And it doesn't surprise me, Lindy, that you were tossed into a role to be with kids, to be in more of a mothering role. That is very natural gift that is in your aura. I can feel it. I've always felt that on you. So what's fun is that we get to look back in our childhood and say, what just came to me when I didn't even try? The truth is that other people can see on us what our natures are, and whether they exploit that or whether they amplify it, it's still a calling on our life that we want to pay attention to. So Lindy says, prepping patterns for a project. See, I knew it. So this is a fantastic point that I want to talk to you ladies about today, because if we are all claiming that we're going to identify as leaders, we're going to not just believe it or happen to stumble into it or just, whatever. If we really want to say, you know what, in 2024, I want to walk with my leadership. I want to walk into rooms. I want to affect change in my families. I want to be available for people that I don't know I'm meant to be available for. I want to be ready to encourage a better place for all of us. You've come to the right spot. I'm really excited to share this next piece of the puzzle with you. I just found out my kids see auras. Ooh, ladies. Oh, this is so good. Tanya made it. What's up, Santanja? How's it going, girlfriend? Guys, you have something. And it's one of those things, if you think about those activities we played in school, where it's like, all right, everybody write one word for this one person and let's see what they say. I'm sure a lot of what you got from each person was pretty similar across the board. There's a way that people experience you. Mine was always that I was kind, I had a nice smile, I was very happy, I was inviting and welcoming, and I'll be honest with you, back then I was very irritated to get that message from, I think this was out of a group of 40 people. This was in college, and I had tried to posture up to be somebody different, right? I wanted to be someone different in college. I ended up feeling like, God, this like meek, weak version of me follows me everywhere. When am I going to get some respect? But the truth is that it is in my nature to be kind. It is in my nature to be amicable. It is in my nature to be a listener. That's what my name Samantha means. It's to be a listener. Whether I wanted to be or not, my aura carried and spoke for me, even if I thought in my own head I was trying to be someone else. This is the truth about your presence, ladies, is that as you walk in identity closer to yourself, closer to the nature of who you are, the identity is already there within you. Now, it used to annoy the ever-loving crap out of me when I was trying to become somebody, and I kept being told, just be yourself. Don't tell me to be myself because I'm trying to be someone else. Let me know if you guys have experienced this. There are parts about ourselves that we may or may not like, but that's not quite the point here. The truth is that there was a nature in how you were designed, and we want to own that. In leadership, what's going to make life the easiest for you, to make the most impact, to reach the highest heights? Yeah, Christina, I would love to hear from you guys. What were some traits about you that back when you were younger, if you haven't figured it out now, even now, what are some things that people say to you they come out of the woodworks with the same dang comments. It's like, I know I'm loud, right? I would always get that I was quiet, and I'm like, I don't want to be quiet, but it really is easy for me to be quiet, right? What are some things that you guys have heard about yourself over and over again? It's just your whole life. You've always heard this. I want to hear what these things are, because these are going to give us some clues to your identity. Now, there are three pillars that I want us to walk forward with. As you think about yourself, what it is that you're trying to achieve, and where it is that you want to go. Because my goal for all of us is that we go where we're trying to go, but we get there with the most ease possible. What I found was that me trying to be someone else was so much harder. It was easy for me to be the person who walked in the room and didn't speak and just watched. But when I looked back on my life, every single time I got to know everybody in that room, if I stayed there long enough, I built deep relationships with each and every single person. And eventually I was looked at as somebody who was worth hearing, to where all of a sudden I was promoted in some version of a leadership role. It was a cycle that happened every single time. It didn't matter what other angle I tried to come at it. It was my path of least resistance. As you choose what it is that you want to create on this earth, we want to get you there because that's where you're meant to go. But we want to do it in a way that feels easy. The three pillars of leadership are the breakdown of your ability to see where are you at in building smooth, simple impact that you can create by first starting off with stepping into the room and letting other people see you. Lindy says, I think I've always wanted to be myself because I want people to like who I am, but I subdued myself for sure. I think that's so powerful, Lindy, because it's like when people say just be yourself, it's like you try to reach for it and it's like, but what is that sometimes, right? Santanja says, they always say you've been here before or I'm easy to talk to. That is so good. Like you're a familiar, safe person to capture new things to talk to, new things to be said, that people get to express themselves with you. Ladies, what if this year, rather than having a New Year's resolution of, I want to be different, what if we went through the process of discovering, how can I be more like myself? What do you think that would do for creating your goals of, Santanja, for you becoming a motivational speaker? And Lindy, for you, stepping into being more with your family and finding that home and really settling down. What would it look like for you guys, Christina, you, to spread more of your passion with plant medicine? All of these things we want to achieve, especially you, Christina, you already function very, very high in this place. But when we find more of who we are and we let that just be true, we become more visible to the people around us, which ultimately ends up creating more impact. Amelia made it. Hello, my friend. I'm so excited for you to be here. So, ladies, I'm going to walk you through the framework of the 3 pillars. I want you to keep in mind all of the other things we've talked about, the quadrants, what you're currently working on right now actionably from this point now through to the end of the year. I want you to think about this in the light, in the frame of we have a mountain that we're currently working on embodying within ourselves. And the goal is to get to accomplishing that so that we can shine brighter with that aspect of ourselves radiating outward. Woohoo! So the 3 pillars are a step-by-step process and how we can easily take ourselves from knowing who we are and moving into creating absolute impact. Okay? So as I transition, ladies, I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you consider a powerful point of impact for you right now? What's a way that you want to impact your environment? Your family, people in your life, your spouse, your business, your company, just the world in general, your society. Like, what are some things on your heart right now that are areas that you want to create impact in? I would love to hear. Let's talk about that first, and I'll show you how these things stack up. Now, these pillars are so big that all of this month, we're gonna focus just on the first one. That's how big it goes. There's a lot we're gonna talk about over the next few months. So I wanna hear what are some of the things, or what is a major thing that you're wanting to create impact in your life? It could be your business, it could be your kids, it could be your new significant other, it could be, what are some things that you want to create impact in? My area of impact that I wanna create more impact in is right here with you guys. Like, to not sound cheesy, like this is where I want to create the most impact in right now in my life. So I want to hear where you guys are and how it is, what it is that you want to create impact in. Christina says, women empowerment, especially those in toxic relationships. Ooh, I didn't know you had that spin on it. Oh, utilizing plant medicine to help. I didn't know you had the spin on toxic relationships. That is powerful. Oh. Lindy says, health mentally and physically. Yes, Lindy creating more health mentally and physically for herself so that then she can show up more. You're gonna love today, Lindy. Anyone else? What are some areas in your life that you want to create impact in? When I say your life, it could be in the world around you. Now, the goal that we want to achieve is that when you create impact, it feels smooth. It's not to say you won't encounter turmoil, but it's to say you know what to come back to. When life gets hard, the idea is that we are meant to dive back into our own world, into our own space, into our own identity, into our own presence, because that was a place that we created safety for ourselves in the first place. So it's not to say that your journey won't have some treachery, but the question is, do you know yourself enough to know what to return to when you feel like you get lost? Amelia says, all the women around me going through what we went through with special needs, kids, them feeling enough, loved, and accepted. You ladies have such a powerful mission. I really want to commend you guys from that. What I see very clearly is each of you guys are speaking from personal experience. This is one of the most powerful ways to create impact, is when you are coming from your own experience. You're not grabbing someone else's idea because it sounds smart, but you're functioning from a place of self. You're able to have a lot more wherewithal because you've already been on that path. You're going to see how that ties into what we're talking about today. Santanja says holistic healing, education, and speech in overall learning on how to be more creative in my life. For example, free will. Natasha made it too high. Santanja, that is good. Natasha, right now we're going through and just defining what are some areas that we want to create impact in the world, because we're going to dive into the 3 pillars that help us stay stable. I want you guys to feel like you have pillars in the sand to know where you're at when life gets a little tumultuous. So ladies, these areas are your North Star. And sometimes the areas in our lives that we want to create impact might change from season to season. Amelia, I'm not saying this is you, but you might have a time where you conclude your journey to help special needs people operating with special needs kids in the way that you saw because you completed your mission. And you might feel called and inspired to something else later. But what's powerful, and we talked about this last week, when you can verbalize what it is that you want, where it is that you're going, no one can take that away from you. We want to take it out of the feeling space and put it into words, because this is the first stage of manifestation. Natasha says, I'm mad I'm late. I needed a reminder. I'm going to text you next time. So here's the deal. This is where you're going, and we're going to walk you from presence to impact, and I'll show you how. So keep in mind where it is that you're going, ladies, as we talk today. There are 3 pillars of leadership. In my world, there are 3 pillars of leadership. This is what's helped me stay organized mentally, especially because I'm an emotional person, and I can find myself off track from time to time. The first thing, the first number 1 pillar that is a must for us to focus on embodying is the pillar of presence. Your presence is the aura that others get to experience before you ever open your mouth. It's the part of you that some people feel safe with. It's the part of you that people feel inspired by. It's the part of you that's like, I think I can approach her. It's the part of you that people say, I feel like you understand me. It's the part that people feel before they interact with you. Now, the goal is that we want your interactions with other people to match your aura. We want that the thing that you elicit, the feeling that you give off, we want that to match how you show up. And this is where a lot of people end up feeling very dissonant in their lives, is that who they are, the nature of their story, the nature of who they are, like who you are characteristically, doesn't quite match what you're doing. Tell me if you guys can think of a season in your life where you were acting as someone else because you lost track of who you were. That was me. A lot of my life, I thought I was supposed to be a busy, hustle person. I have that capacity, and that is a fraction of who I am. You guys can rely on me and know that when I say I'm going to get it done, I will get it done. Some other people might say, I feel intimidated by you, Sammy. When I first saw you across the, I felt intimidated by you because I knew that there's something sharp about you. I would get that all the time. What I ended up reconciling that they meant is they knew that when I look at you, I'm going to be looking at you. And if we come into agreement around something, you can trust it will happen. These are the type of things that we want to make sure we're following through on, because the other side of me was that you could trust that things were going to happen, but I was going to do it in my own pace. I didn't realize when I was younger that I didn't have to follow the action and the pacing of others. What I know now that I wish I knew then was that I have a very righteous pace that honors me and the way that I'm meant to show up. It's still just as intentional, but it's different than most. This is the level of clarity I want you to have with yourself. Lindy says, I think I need to know it's okay that my business is on the back burner as I work out on a mental health, especially. Exactly. And that's the type of permission I don't think we give ourselves. This comes back to identity. Lindy, some people are designed to juggle many, many balls at the same time. Some people are wired. My husband is one of those. He can just run and juggle and sprint and and I thought that that was me. Most of the world thinks that that's them. But what if, Lindy, you gave yourself permission to say, I'm somebody who works on one thing at a time? How would that carry in your presence? If who you were, your aura, your representation matched how you showed up. Most of us don't let those things match because we're still in the phase where we're trying to look at who we are and how else we can be. But here are the two pieces that make up the pillar of presence. Your presence, the aura that you give off, whether it's fast, whether it's slow, whether it's happy, whether it's brooding, whether it's intentional, whether it's sporadic, whatever your nature is, it is made up of your identity and your health. Girl, I think I may have ADHD. I've never worked on just one thing. So probably should try. And this is where we look at the parts underneath this pillar, because if we can master and clarify your identity and partner that with your health, your ability to take care of yourself, prioritize yourself, love yourself, give your body what it needs, allow yourself to rest. When you partner an awareness of who you are with your ability to care, your aura expands. Your aura radiates and more people want a piece of you. But here's the problem with that. Most of us fear being wanted. We fear what is going to be requested of us. We fear more. But here's how we get over that. Is when you know who you are, you get to decide what is a yes for you and what is a no for you. Tell me the woman, tell me the person that you look up to and you just love what you see. Can you tell that she operates in consistency with her boundaries, her standards, and that knowingness of who she is? Is that not part of why you admire her so much? Ladies, this piece is not afforded to just one of us. You get to be congruent with who you are. You get to say, this is me, and I'm sorry you can't handle that. This is just who I am, and this is what I can partner with you on. When you know the nature of your being and you say, these are the things that I need in order to maintain health of this identity, you combine it together and your aura shines for days. Now, the opposite, the other way this looks, ladies, is that when you don't know yourself, and let's use fitness, for example, as the health, if you are putting effort into your health, but you don't know or have the foundation of who you are, the health isn't going anywhere. It's going somewhere, but it's not going into you. This is where I see a lot of people struggle with motivation. This was the place that I had to ask myself, why are some of my clients not successful when we have a game plan, and why are others? It's the clients who knew themselves. They knew what they wanted. They knew why they wanted it. They knew where they were going. They knew what was worth it for them. They were able to maintain health practices because there was a layering effect. Most of us, when we're working out just because we saw it on Instagram or someone lost 50 pounds and we kind of want that, and so we're going to do what they're doing. When we don't know who we are, we make decisions that aren't in alignment with ourselves. This shrinks our presence. The alternative is you know who you are. You know that you don't talk to me like that, and you know I'm going to go this way. But you don't effort or put the intention to fuel that identity. Your aura expands, but it doesn't reach max capacity. Who you are and how you care about yourself makes for a bigger presence. And when you fall in love with the presence that you carry, you're willing to walk anywhere. You're willing to go anywhere. You're willing to speak your voice. You're willing to say things. You're willing to reach for things. You're willing to have things. You're willing. When you have presence and you trust yourself and you love yourself and you feed yourself, your presence expands. This is the first pillar, very potent, powerful leadership. I want to hear what you guys are saying at this point. Let me know what's coming to you, ladies, as you're hearing this. So Amelia says presence. Wow, love the own my own pace. We learned a lot and have so many stepping stones. And if we can learn to safely give some of our own stepping stones to others, yes, they can get to the top much faster and still keep our own growth in a healthy way. Amelia, you have no idea that you just shared everything that we're going to be talking about on this live. That is the pathway. Santandra says she is not here anymore, but my grandmother. Definitely my spiritual mother. I love that. Oh, guys, I love this. I love this. Our people, our admirers, they get to live in our minds. They still get to represent the energy that we want to embody ourselves so that we can add that to the field that we carry with us everywhere we go. When you master presence, you're you. And what we don't want, what creates disease in the body, what creates anxieties, what creates frustrations, depression, all of these other things, is when we're taking action in spite of our identity. When we're doing more than what our identity is calling for and we're not honoring our health. What I want first from you is the first pillar, which is to radiate all of who you are. If you're loud, be loud, own it. If you're quiet, be quiet. And we can always learn things from other people, but the base nature of you is something that you want to be able to nestle in, because this creates so much safety and reduces any overthinking. Now the second pillar. So once you become who you already are, you own it, you feed it, you love it, you take care of it, you rest it, you nurture it, you be it. When you have your presence, I love you. And we don't want to keep that settled up in your house. It means you're too big. You're too big for those four walls. The second pillar of leadership is your ability and willingness to be visible. This phase is one of the scariest phases for people to enter if you don't know who you are and you don't take care of yourself. Visibility is the natural next step for you once you've claimed your presence. You don't want to be inside when you've got it. You want to interact with people. You want to speak. You want to share your thoughts. You want to share your feelings. You want to share your message. You want to share. You want to be involved. You want to be around. And the best part is when you have your presence and you get around others, what happens is that other people start responding and reacting with you. So there's feedback of your connection with your identity. If you notice, as you have been a leader, you have parts of you that you might hide. You have rooms that you're big in and rooms that you're small in. Visibility is the pillar that you need to work on. Now, visibility means that you have the other two lined up. You got it all cleaned up. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? We're always going to be an ever-evolving piece of work, but we're always going to be an ever-evolving work. But when you know your presence, you know who you are, you're taking care of yourself, visibility is the next natural step. If you find visibility easy for you, that means you're pretty secure in your phase of presence. With visibility, yes, my free will to be me, that's the energy we want. I don't want you to have $1 million with 100,000 followers and you're just like, don't look at me. There's something about you that you're not comfortable with yet. We want you to choose you and the things that you allow in your life. Visibility is comprised of two things. I'm going to read it how I wrote it. Visibility is your ability to let your presence be seen by others and communicate a message that is consistent and congruent with who you know you are. Why is this important? It's because we're not designed, ladies, to be great alone. Our greatness inevitably attracts other people to us. Whether they're wanted or unwanted, people become attracted to us. And if we are taking ownership of the idea that I am a leader and I want to be responsible for my part in this entire thing, I know that I need to be visible. Visibility consists of two things. Your ability to share your message and your ability to be consistent. Now, this happened last time, the balloons. With your ability to have an aura and to let that aura be seen, what we want is that your you bubbles up so much inside of you. Bleh. You share what you want to share. You say it how you want to say it. You exude what it is that you want to exude. Your message leaves your presence and it comes out of your mouth. How many of you guys feel comfortable sharing your message? I'd love to hear. I want to pause here for a second. I want to hear what you guys say. When I say, please share your message, what is your message? I want to get a feel for what happens in your body when you hear me say that. Is it a trigger? Is it like, where are you at with that word? Share your message. So I want to try to flip the frame that most people get hung up on here. When you hear, I would like for you to share your message, what comes up for you? Are you excited? Are you like, God, I've been waiting for this moment, Sammy. Thanks for asking. Are you like, please not me, don't let me. Christina says, I love sharing my message. My heart goes wee. I knew you would say that. I knew you would say that. Here's the frame about a message. I'm going to really define this word because in the coaching development space, or I feel like it's a little bit more universal these days. When people hear message, they think like this purpose-driven memoir of the thing that they're meant to rescue the world with. That is one. That's one of your messages. Christina's saying, I love sharing my message. That's her message. When you are asked, when you are invited, when you are given space, when you see something that you can speak, do you take it? Your message is any given nudge that you feel called to share in any given moment. What I want to tell you right now, ladies, is every message you have is valid in some way or another. And the idea is that when you're really congruent with your identity, yourself, your purpose, your direction, your whys, your yeses, your nos, your boundaries, your standards, your desires, your dreams, your wants, when you're really cleared up on that, everything you say matters. But the consistency portion is, do you let yourself speak regularly? Do you let yourself post on social media the way you want to post? Do you edit yourself around your dad and not your mom? Do you speak really powerfully in single conversations but shrivel up when you're in groups? Where does your message become inconsistent? My desire for you as a leader is for you to show up everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. And here's the beauty. In some scenarios, ladies, you might be like, no, it's me. It is my identity to be very powerful in groups or in one-on-ones. And I like to sit back and observe in groups. That might be part of your identity, which therefore crafts your message. Some of you guys might know that your message is to speak in the most random moments, and other times you don't share. Some of you guys know that you kind of bust doors down to say things because your style, your nature is to bring a pop to the room. And when you pop things in the room, you can tell how that ends up affecting others in the dynamic, and it ends up always creating something magical. These are all from the core of your identity. When you know who you are, it becomes easy to speak. But ladies, there's so much in the health and fitness community that's starting to come up where when we're closed off and we're trying to speak, we might speak without a camera and then a camera comes on and we shut down. Or we are really powerful around men and then all of a sudden our relationship with women are weird and then we all of a sudden get weird or catty or we change our dynamic. What we want is that everywhere you go, if everywhere you stand you are valuable, you are meant to show up and operate in your identity the way you feel called. But it can't be because you don't want something. It's because you know who you are, and this is how you want to show up. That's the nature of being a powerful leader. Lindy says it depends on the message. Sewing, anything craft or homeschool, I can easily do it, but if I were to share something political, religious, or very personal, I will restrain myself more with anyone except those I am most comfortable with. Now, here's my challenge to you, Lindy. Is this a fear decision? As in, deep down, you wish you could talk more about political and religious and personal things with other people? Or is this just how you roll? Because if you can verbally claim, this is just how I handle these situations, okay, yes, ma'am. That's what we want, is it depends. Like if you're saying it depends on my message, I will share this with everybody, but I will reserve this for people I feel comfortable and safe with. That's how you maintain health. That's how you walk in your identity. And what we want to look for, ladies, as we walk through each pillar and look at the two pieces that make up that pillar, we can see that when you get to this place, if anything down the line ends up retracting your aura, that's a no-no. That's where we got to say, all right, this is the place we got to dive into here. Now, if you guys can confidently say, this is how I roll, you're operating from your identity, and your presence is always going to be open, radiating, and ready to encounter other people that may try or may accidentally try to diminish you. My message is we can overcome anything if we put in the work. I love inspiration. Santandra, you're a walking ball of inspiration, my friend. That is my desire as well. So you tell me, all right, That's what you want. That's what you stand for. That's who you are. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Christina says, I love both in person and in groups. I appreciate the wider ripple effect of magic in big groups. See? So even recognizing when I'm in this section, but then I move into this section, I feel differently, but both feelings are what I want. This is perfect because you're showing up how you feel called to show up in those scenarios. When I was younger, I felt called to just show up and walk in a room and see what happened. But I had this belief that I was supposed to do something more. I shared this in a post yesterday on my private Facebook pages. I walked around sweating, anxious, and constantly in just dissonance because I didn't let my purest identity, which is to just see, to be quiet, to observe first, I didn't let that be good enough. And so I would go from being with my mom in person going, to being in a room, but I would make that shift and my nature be bad. And that's what we don't want. But Christina, the way you said that, I'm feeling on you that there's a lot more pronounced definition, like this is what I do. This is who I am. I'm not asking you a question, but I'm just sharing who I am. That's the kind of vibe we want to produce from you guys as leaders, all of us. Amelia says, found that when one shares their mistakes and how they got to get to where they are today, I have much bigger impact than we can ever think. Yes, exactly. I definitely still need to grow in self-confidence. Exactly. So ladies, the point of all of this is more so to project, get the visuals of like, where am I for one? And then two, seeing where you're good. Oh, right here. This is where I need. So then we have to go back to the other three to figure out how can we adjust this so that it feels very natural for you to share your message. Maybe it's not that you're willing to share your message, but you find out that it's inconsistent situationally. These are the kind of things that we're looking at. It's almost like a roadmap / checklist of saying, okay, I'm in integrity here, I'm in integrity here, and this will always be an updated and evolving list of things. So it's just a framework. One-on-one, not in person. Okay, it's so weird you said that because I thought one-on-one. I just got you. The book of Proverbs really honed in on this to me to listen more. So I often reserve my most controversial takes. That's an approach I take. If I feel very confident that you can handle my perspective, I like to save that for people that we could do a healthy debate if that's what was to come up. If it was going to be abrasive and the other person's set, one, I'm not here to change your mind because I walk into a room and who I am is who I am, and you walk into a room and who you are is who you are. My job is not to change you, and your job is not to change me. And we get to experience each other at the level we can meet, and that gets to be good enough. Maybe I'll shine enough in a certain way that I inspire something out of you. And maybe you might want to embody something I carry, and the same thing gets to be true for you. If you carry yourself in a certain way, I might feel inspired to take on some of the things, the character traits that you're carrying, because I enjoy watching from a distance how you're carrying it. That is exactly how it gets to be. I love that, to listen more. Trying to be perfect is a huge block instead of just being who we are. Yeah. Yikes. That is it. I literally have a sticker on my phone that just says, fuck perfection. Exactly. And see, this to me is where we end up getting trapped. Is when I say be who you are, part of who you are is still in recovery. Part of who you are is under development. Part of who you are is, oh, I'm not quite there yet. But can you own that? Can you say, I'm not there yet? Because when I say, if you're an outspoken person, your version of outspoken might be so outspoken that it disrupts things and you don't like that part. But there's a version of outspoken that is better for you, healthier for you, and healthier for the room. So you can still identify as outspoken, but the perfection of what that looks like, you get to decide. And you don't have to define that yet, or you don't have to be there today. You get to define that as you walk your mountain of embodiment. That's how it works. Lindy says, it's a decision to not start arguments with people. I don't like how arguing stresses me out. I feel it between my shoulders. This is called you honoring your health so that you can propel your identity. That's what that decision is. I know my identity does not like to argue. Therefore, my actions, I'm going to choose healthy actions for myself. I'm going to operate in this way as a result so I can keep my presence alive. Embracing your weakness and sharing your strengths. We're all needed and pieces of the puzzle. Yes. Oh, so Amelia says, so weird how when one does not know their identity, one thinks that one needs to be perfect. It's because identity is so fluctuating. And we think one thing equals one thing, but there's a spectrum to all things. Both Santanja and Christina have an outspoken nature. But if we all got around together in a room, we would see that their styles of outspokenness are just different. But to label it, the word outspoken is like, first of all, it has typically a negative connotation. Two, it varies from day to day. So I think our safety is to try to label ourselves and try to slap something on it. And if we do end up with the label, we want to be the best version of that. When I see you ladies, I know we're all working towards it. That's why this is the active and attractive community. We're always actively doing the inner work. But the idea is that we slowly lean more into our identity. We get clearer with every day, every experience, and mine for a greater sense of self, to where our presence clearly radiates who we are. And this is where we start going quantum with this, where things almost start feeling like they're dropping out of the sky. Opportunities start showing up. Someone that we ran into on the airplane ended up being the exact person we needed to perform and produce this thing. Like, that's whenever things start working for us and we have such a strong energetic attraction that we couldn't have put this together if we wanted to. So your nature is your version of the label. It's not to change it. It's to identify it and say, yep, that's the me that I want to be. That's the me that I want to be. So your presence might be to be an observer. Keep using observer versus outspoken. That's just very heavy on my heart today. On an airplane, in that airplane scenario, or when I walk into a room with powerful people, I used to have a friend who was very much she was this girl, and she's so fun. And I mean, it was to the point to where her power and her identity of self was so much stronger than mine that I felt like I was supposed to be more like her. She got what she wanted, she got what she came for, and she made things happen. What I found out in those same scenarios is that because my nature is to be an observer and to kind of slide in with very intentional, poignant questions about you and not the project that we're all working on, my level of connection with people function best with the way I like to connect with people, and her level of how to connect with people function with the way that she liked to connect with people. And so we both got what we needed out of the experience. We both built relationships with the exact same people, but the relationships met us where we are naturally. The same thing would be true on an airplane. Is I'm not going to strike up a conversation with you. I've got to be very caffeinated or have a very great day to be like, hey, so what are you doing? I don't do that. But great things can still happen when I'm not fighting myself, asking myself, should I be talking to this person? I feel like I saw someone get a lot of success and I should maybe. It's a waste of our energy. We've got to trust our auras, ladies, and your presence is so magnetic that people are going to lean over to you and say, hey, I feel safe next to you. I'm going to ask you a question, like, where are you from? And then before you know it, it leads to a conversation that you didn't know you were supposed to have. Now you have the phone number to your next big contract or your next big relationship. This is what we get to put our trust in when people say, have more faith and put more trust. This is how I've been able to mentally frame it out for myself, and it's worked every single time. Okay, so we're at the hour mark, but I want to share with you the third pillar. I want to share with you the third pillar before we go. Ladies, the third pillar is one that, again, we're operating out of ease. We're trying to create you getting to your smoothest path to getting to what it is that you're wanting to impact in the world. The first layer is through your presence, by knowing who you are and taking care of yourself in whatever way that looks. It could look like how Lindy said, I reserve these conversations for certain people. That's considered healthy action. Health isn't just fitness. It's health in how you show up. When you are bright and shining and you know who you are and love who you are, you're ready to be visible. You're like, all right, let's go. You're visible. You speak when you feel like you're meant to speak. You say things how you want to say. You say things when you want to say it. And when you move into situations, you're consistent everywhere you go. Your consistency is based on your identity. And this is how we keep your presence open, even when you come into a place where you're trying to be visible with other people. Now, the third phase of impact, or the third pillar, I just gave it away, the third pillar of leadership is presence, visibility, and impact. Impact is ultimately the place we're trying to get to as leaders. It's the place that we want to be without thinking, and then, God forbid, we actually put our intentions behind how we want to show up. We get to do it intentionally, but it works flawlessly. I always said, I do not, Jamie's here, how's it going, friend? I do not want to be successful if it means I've got to feel like this every time. I want to write in a way that feels good. I want to be friends with my clients in the way that I like to be friends with my clients. I want my success to feel like it has space for me. And what I don't want for you guys as we step further into leadership is that you have everything that you said you wanted, but it feels terrible to hold it. That would be awful. You have the clients, you have the success, you have the $1 million, you have all the things, and you're just not happy. But when you have your presence and you have your desire to be visible, when you reach impact, this is the place that we want to just finalize to hold and support you so that you can continue to do this over and over and over again. The two caveats of impact are knowing your process and creating systems in your life to support you as you go along in your journey. Preach. Here's the thing, ladies. You have a story. You have things you've seen. You have things that you've overcome. You have things that you've navigated. Some of them were easy. A lot of them were hard. You have a process that you took and how you walked up the mountain of embodiment to embody the things that you have accomplished. When we go back to the mountain of embodiment, we talked about we're walking up this mountain to become the person at the top that radiates and shows, hey, it's possible to be here. But you took your own specific path up that mountain. Your ability to be lively or wild or confident or intelligent, your version of how you walked up that path is not the only way that people have gotten up there. Many people have accomplished some of these mountains and some of these feats. Everybody's pathway up to the top to embody that specific mountain was their own. But the best thing, just like Amelia said, is that when we get to the top, we want to reach down and extend our hand to the people who also desire to get there too. Now, we don't want to do this by, come on, do it. We don't want to yank people up to the top. We don't want to force people up to the top. We want to use our visibility, the visibility of our presence at the top, to encourage and speak through our process on how someone else may choose to find their way to the top too. When you don't know your story, when you haven't let yourself know that you did that, when you didn't walk back through your life and say, oh my God, I have overcome a lot. the way we diminish our ability to create impact is we say, I didn't do that much in my life so far. Or we'll say, yeah, I did that, but it wasn't that hard. Or yeah, I got through that, but I mean, like, it's not, there are things that you've done, big or small, that are still a pathway that you get to say, yeah, I do that now. You've got a process. You've got a story. You've got a method. You've got a technique. You've got a style. You've got a something. And when you let yourself own, ladies, own your process, this is the biggest way you're ever going to create impact. Now, the desire is that we're creating impact with ease, okay? What most people do is they try to create impact and they try to do the work for the people they're impacting. They try to do it for them. They try to say, all right, I'm going to move your leg, take this step on this rock, and then hold on to that tree. I'm going to grab your hand and hold on to that tree for you. And we end up having this aura that shines bright, and we're so focused on trying to help someone get up the mountain that we forget that our story, our process, and how we did it is enough for them to begin the journey of figuring out how they can do it themselves. I would always laugh to myself, what is small for you may be big for someone else. Exactly, we're all made differently. It might have taken you 30 years to get up to the top, but you made it, and it might take someone else too. Your pathway is your pathway, but here's the thing. This is the visual that's always come to me. It was trying to get up this mountain. I have this perfectly carved path, and it's a mountain I go up and down all the time, so it's actually paved now, and I've got handrails, and I've gotten all these stairs built in, and I've just gone this way so many times, and this is how I do it. And then someone's like, Sammy, I saw you shining bright up there. I want to see the view. And I'm like, okay, come on, let's go. Well, here's this path that I paved. Some people are going to take your path. They're going to hear your story. And even if they skip up the path or walk backward, do it their own way, walk backwards up the path, go side, whatever, however they get up the same mountain, they do it and it works for them. Other people are going to walk up your path and say, this is kind of too paved. I want to figure this out for myself. They're going to get halfway up. They're going to walk off to the rocky cliffside, and they're going to start sliding up and sliding down and making it a lot harder for themselves, right? But that's the path they wanted to go. Other people may go up your path, get off your path, and roll right back down. And you have to say, come back this way. This is how I did it. You don't have to go that way. And you let them find their own way. This version of leadership is so much different than most, because if you identify as someone who cares, a lot of times you'll put a lot of your effort into this phase right here, where you're helping someone not understanding the value that your story, your process has for them. You put all of your effort into this person, into these people, into whoever, and you stop taking care of yourself. You stop taking care of yourself. You stop remembering who you are, their thoughts, their voice, their journey, their experience, their struggle, it gets in your head and clouds your identity. You realize some of the people on the path are easy to talk to, and the ones with the bigger, bolder personalities end up squashing you, and you realize you start shrinking your message and start catering and trying to figure out how to. Before you know it, you no longer have your presence. And before you know it, you're not even visible. You stop showing up on social media. You stop sharing your thoughts and your stories to your family. You stop. And before you know it, all of a sudden it feels very difficult to create impact. When you're clear on your process, it's very similar to your identity. This is just how I did it. This is how I did it. This is how I made it up this path, and I want to share this with you as a piece of wisdom that may help you. But we can't do that if we don't know our process. Now, the way we solidify our process is that our process is ours. I want you to remember that the process and how you got to where you are today, doing what it is that you've done so far, is how you got to it. That's your story. Unless you plan on rewriting this story, and if you figure out how to do that, please let me know. If you end up staying and owning, wait, this is how I got here. I had a trauma, and then it led me to this, and then I searched out this, and then I found this, and I used this, and I did this, and or I was so happy, and then things happened, and I started, the more happened, and this is how it happened for me. When you own your process, you get to walk around and reap the success of that impact. Now, the greatest way that you can keep yourself in integrity, because ladies, I cannot tell you how potent it is to do all of these pieces. When you put all of these pieces and lock them into alignment, what's going to happen is success will come for you. You have to be ready. Everything you want will come to you. The money will come to you. People will come to you. The drama, it will come to you. The joy, the happiness, all of it will come. It will come to you. And the way that you got up the mountain needs to be refined. This is why you got to go back and build the paved and the steps because you can't keep slipping down every single time you try to go up. When you create the second part, which is a system, out of what has worked for you, ladies, you can keep your aura shining because your energy is conserved. Now, the way a system looks gets to be different for everybody, but it could be as simple as, I know when my quadrant of the home is just cared for, it's tended to, and I work better. I've tried and I've started and I've stopped, and I've discovered that this is my process in keeping my home clean. It's amazing when my home is clean, then it leads to this, and that is my process in terms of part of my success. But more success is coming to me, and I can't sustain more right now. How do I create a system out of my workflow in keeping my home clean that allows me to keep the momentum of what I'm receiving? A system might be, I know that when I'm organized and I keep all of my stuff organized, all of my documents and my things in order to help people, I've created a process and how I can help my clients get success. And when I can't keep starting over with them, if I want to receive more clients, I've got to create a system out of what has already worked for me. This is where our systems get to create an automation in our life where we don't have to keep putting out more effort, more energy, but we can receive the success and defer it to what we've already learned. This is something that happens mentally. We've got to create a system of thoughts. Emotionally, how do we navigate our emotions as they pop up? Because it will. With our work ethic, our work methods, and how we keep ourselves organized there. With our health practices, how do I keep health in my life as I succeed more? If it falls out, especially with exercise, I know that building systems based on your identity, based on your message, your process, when you can build systems that support more of your world, you are bringing an infrastructure into your life that no matter how hard the day got or how much success came at you to where it even overwhelmed you a bit, you can rest in what you've already built in your world. Ladies, these 3 pillars are the things that are going to keep you bolstered in the nature of who you are. And if you're going to reach the points of success where you are creating a holistic healing education, you are helping people and families with special needs, keeping people away from toxic relationships. I love you, but those are tall orders. I don't want to see you with your hair on the ground and you got one set of eyelashes on, the other one's on the floor, and you're like, I gotta keep going. What we want is that you give to the world based on the overflow that you have, because you know who you are. You take care of yourself. You're free to speak your message everywhere you go. You know your process and how you got to the top, and you're willing to automate and create systems based on you and what feels good for you. This is how you consistently show up as a radiating leader. You're healthy, you're happy, you're energetic, you're whole. You've got more capacity, more compassion, more life, more love to give to the people around you. Even some of the most strained people that come into your life, or opportunities that come in and then they slip away. And when life happens in your pursuit to make all of these great points of impact happen, you get to check in and remember that your system for leadership is predicated on you and knowing who you are. Ladies, I want you to be the healthiest women out there. I want you to feel like you can take anything on, and if something's too big, you say, whoop, that's not for me. I want you guys to move. And I want you to do it in a way that feels good for you. So your homework today is, which of these things, I'm going to say them all again. So you have your presence pillar, which carries your identity and your health. You've got your visibility pillar that carries your message and your ability to communicate it consistently. And you've got your impact pillar, which carries your knowledge of your process and your ability to create systems. Which one of these areas do you feel like you have just nailed? Which ones are you just like, I got this down? I want to hear, which ones do you feel like you have nailed? Excuse me, getting very excited. And which one of these areas do you feel like you have room to grow? Natasha says, yes, I'm not the calm. It's not the calm before the storm. It's the calm. Thank you for that wonderful world of wisdom. Which one? The work is the journey. Oh, Santanja, I missed this. In my mind, everything with action becomes the title. I try not to title anything without action. For example, the word manipulation is negative to some, but I see it as creativity, manifestation. Leading by example is a desire of mine. Leaving behind the people pleasing without being pleased myself. Leave it behind. Yes. The work is the journey. I love this. Don't ever stop. I need this. Lucky for you, I have automated my system for my process. Guys, I've been showing up live so long in this group. I have room to grow in all of them. That is the real reals, Lindy. I love that. I have been showing up live in this group for so long, but all of these concepts they've just already, this is what I live by. I just didn't know it. When I created a process out of it, here we are. So you don't have to worry about me shrinking, hiding away. That's what would happen in the past, is I would start and then I'd go away. And I'd start and I'd go away. Or I'd base whether I was going to come back based on how engaged people were. And all of I didn't have a strong identity. I mean, I did, but I wasn't in tune with it. My health practices would fluctuate. My ability to be willingness and speak my message diminished the second I clicked the camera on. And then I didn't have a process. So I had all of these holes in my system that didn't allow me to stay consistently systematized to show up, to be consistent for you. So this is how I get to look at you, Santanja, and say, if you're saying, Sammy, how'd you do it? I get to say, well, I just discovered how I did it. Let me share with you. And you don't have to worry about me evaporating out of fear, or I already navigated all of that mountain. So now I'm at the top of the consistency mountain and showing up on Facebook Lives and sharing my process, because I've tried so many times to go up and I finally got here and I've got something to share. And I've created systems for myself to be able to be consistent with you so that you can find your path and going up the same or an adjacent mountain. I'm so happy that you said that. Amelia said, first two, I definitely have a lot of room to grow. And the third one is the one I have the most control over. Ooh, I like that. I like that perspective. Lindy says, thank you for this. My mother told me I was manipulative as a teen, and it hurts so much. Need to come in and tune in with the who I am, being me and only me. Oh. So ladies, this is where we're going. All of what I'm sharing, I need work in all three. So I'm a work in progress. Own that. Own that. Ladies, this conversation is the foreground for where we're going, okay? So this entire month of December is gonna be around identity and presence, okay? Identity, health, and presence. I'm sorry, let me say that again. Where we're going next is the realm, the pillar of presence. We're gonna discuss identity and health, but we're gonna stick with identity the majority of December. So by the end of December, I want you to be able to walk away with a very strong sense of identity, but it's gonna be in a really, really fun way, okay? World building is weird, guys. Just hang in there. World building is weird, but if you like to play and have fun and not let this be, you know, a system that you're creating that's kind of boring and you don't emotionally relate to it, hang in there, because I've got a really fun way to help you claim your identity and feel like you're walking around with your world so that other people can experience it. So we will focus, we'll go through each of these, all pillars, it's a lot. And, but we're in it to be a lot. We want to be a lot. We want to be big. We want to be bold. I want to feel your presence expand as we walk forward. And it's going to look like increasing action in certain areas of your life. So just take note of what you feel called to, what you feel is relevant to you. If we ever hit a patch where you're like, this doesn't resonate with me, you can always hop in and just listen passively, or you can hop out and just touch back in when we come back around to the thing that you really want to talk about. But I promise you, diving deep into this conversation and really keeping everything at the forefront of your mind is going to help you stay focused on what matters to you. I want you to focus on what matters to you. When you focus on what matters to you, I promise you will inevitably infect other people with your light, your love, and your perspective. It will be on them to decide what they do with that. And that's where the process, it gets to be someone else's responsibility. But your responsibility is to show up and be you, okay? So Amelia says, looking forward to this. I love what you bring to the table, Sam. I'm so grateful for you, friend. And literally everybody here on the live and the replays, you guys watch, it means the world to me. My intention is to bring more people in on this dialogue, because my overall vision, my point of impact is to see more women on the earth doing what they're called to do from a place of overflow. I want to bring more health to leaders. So if you guys know of anybody that you think will resonate with this message, or they would want to dive in with you on this message and you guys can go back and forth together, please feel free to invite them. But the month of December, we're going to really get to explore your identity and I got so much, so I'll stop there. So with that being said, ladies, thank you for going 25 minutes over time, and I'm super grateful for your time. If you guys have any questions, if there are any ways that I could support you, whether it's through coaching or just simple questions, please feel free to message me. Other shares that you have, go into the Facebook group, share your shares if you want to use the space as a daily check-in, or just to acknowledge what it is that you've uncovered or realized about yourself. Would love to hear your stories and celebrate with you. So invited someone today. I hope to see them soon. Thank you for all of this. I love you guys. Thank you for inviting someone, Natasha. That means more to me than you know. So, okay, ladies, we're going to do this. So keep in mind throughout this week as you're walking around, if you haven't watched all of the videos, go back, do some homework. It all feeds into itself. And as you walk through this week, just notice, where does your presence expand and where does it diminish? That's kind of the gauge we're looking for. Where do you feel brightest? Where do you feel like you're shrinking? When you find those places, just take little notes. Take little notes, become self-aware. If you don't know what I'm referring to, just see in your body. When do you feel open and the most like you? And when do you feel a little reserved and like you're kind of pushing the situation away? That's going to be a really big pointer so that we can grow and expand those aspects of you. All right. So I love you guys. I'll talk to you very soon, and I'll see you inside of the Facebook group. Have a great rest of your day.